If it ain't managed, it won't be a revolution. It's me. Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being here. If you're new to my channel, I hope that you consider subscribing to my channels. I would love to have you back. Now, if you follow current events, you know that we are living in a time where there's a lot of talk about revolution. You know, people are talking about the French Revolution, about the American Revolution, and many young people who have no idea what it means to actually live through a revolution are throwing the word around very loosely. And so I wanted to share with you something that I came across recently. It's an article called "The Revolution Will Be Managed," published by Jacobin Magazine. Now, this is not a right-wing publication. This is a left-wing socialist publication. So it's not like Fox News or anything like that. It's actually far from it. It's a far-left publication. But I am going to quote a few things from this article because I think that it helps us understand what is really going on. And it's not just some random article. It was written by one of the most prominent Marxist scholars in the world today, someone by the name of Noam Chomsky. He is 74 years old. He is a philosopher and a cognitive scientist, and he has been very vocal about his criticisms of capitalism and has been a public intellectual ever since the 1960s. In fact, he was a mentor of sorts to people who later became known as the Weather Underground, which was a radical left-wing political group in the United States. So let me read you a few things that he said in this article. First of all, he says, "There is no doubt that significant events are happening in the United States and elsewhere. People are beginning to realize that what was taken for granted for some decades, namely that capitalism will continue to function effectively and indefinitely, is no longer tenable." He then goes on to say, "The inherent instability of capitalism leads to periodic major crises. The Great Depression of the 1930s, the more recent financial crises of 2008 and 2020, and now the immense suffering caused by inflation resulting from price gouging and the like. These events shake people out of their complacency and make them wonder why such horrors are necessary. They start asking questions they were never asked before, like why do we have to endure these repeated crises? Why are almost all the benefits of growth appropriated by a handful of people, while the actual work is done by the vast majority? Why is it that even in the richest country in the history of the world, the United States, over 50% of the population works full-time for starvation wages? This is what happens when people begin to wake up." And then he says something that I thought was extremely telling. He said, "The answers to these and other elementary questions are being discussed in a way they weren't before. That alone constitutes progress." So what I want you to notice here is that Noam Chomsky, again, far-left Marxist scholar, is saying that the revolution will be managed. What does that mean? That means that the status quo cannot be maintained. There will be a change. But rather than having a violent overthrow of the government and of the economic system, what will happen is that those who are in charge will implement changes in order to maintain control. I believe that this is exactly what is going to happen. We're already seeing this happen. The powers that be, the elite class, the technocrats, the people who are running our governments and central banks and corporations, they know that they can no longer maintain the status quo. We're seeing this play out in real time. And so, rather than having a revolution that is messy and out of control and unpredictable, they will implement changes. They will implement changes that will bring about a new world order, a new economic system that will be sold to us as an improvement over the current system. And it's very important for us to understand this, because if we don't, if we think that nothing is going to change and that everything is going to remain the same, we will be sorely mistaken. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Everything is changing, and it's changing rapidly. And those who refuse to change, who refuse to wake up and see what is happening, will be swept aside and will be replaced by those who are able to adapt to the changing times. So thank you for watching this video. Again, I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I would love to have you back for my next one. Have a great rest of your day. I'll see you soon.